Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Celebrity Natal Charts. Grab a beverage. We're going to be talking about Blake Lively's natal chart today. Blake Lively, she's from Los Angeles, California, United States, born August 25th, 1987 at 5 a.m. Birth time accuracy excellent. She is a Virgo rising Leo, so very famous Leo. Blake Ellender Lively is an American actress and celebrity homemaker. She started as Serena Vanderwoodson in the CW teen drama series Gossip Girl and has appeared in such films as The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, The Private Lives of Peppa Lee, The Town, Green Lantern Accepted, and Savages. Following her 2012 marriage to actor Ryan Reynolds, the couple relocated to Bedford, a suburb of Westchester County, New York City, or New York, citing Martha Stewart and Nigella Lawson as inspirations. Lively has filmed cookery demonstrations for Vogue's website, and has forged creative partnerships with Sprinkles Bakery and La Cornue Ovens. Okay, so she's awesome. She's Martha Stewart now. It's very, very Virgo, very hearth. She also has like a Virgo stellium. She has a lot of planets in Virgo. She has her Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars all in Virgo, which I guess says that she'd become a housewife, homemaker, very Virgo, whatever. But so she's a Leo first house, which is her ascendant. Um, so this means that she looks very famous. Her fame populates a lot of her self-esteem. Um, this also talks about maybe her last name Lively potentially coming from her father, making her famous because of him. She has a Virgo second house where she has, like I said, a bunch of planets. So you know, uh, Virgo, Leo rising, Virgo second house, Sun, Moon, Mars and Venus all in Virgo. Her thinking of Martha Stewart as a contemporary financially makes a lot of sense. I also did Ryan Reynolds' chart, so it's actually very interesting that they're together. Which I think Ryan Reynolds might be like a Scorpio rising Virgo or something like that. Scorpio very compatible with Leo, Virgo compatible with Virgo. But the moon in Virgo talks about your emotional response to things. So if she's studying for a new role, if she's very stressed out, if she has a new child on the way, you could probably expect to see her like with her nose buried in a book or on a mommy blog or something studying, out of fear of the unknown. When under attack or in love, she might be if she's dating a new person, she might be the type to open up an astrology book to compare for compatibility. If she's like under attack by something or someone, most likely like looking up the law and how to deal with that, like turns to a book, persistently turns to a book. In her third house, she has Libra. So this is what actually would talk a lot about her childhood environment growing up, her family, her cousins, classmates, people she went to college with, things like that. Also, like the notion of being a homemaker and a housewife, which this house is empty. So maybe she had a very traditional mother growing up. Maybe she didn't. Maybe that's why she has a proclivity to it. This also says that her voice is very beautiful. She is an actress. I don't think that any of these acting roles that I read were musical that I know of. It could have all been musicals. I don't know. But also it says that like her child, you know, her early childhood development, whatever, is like very close to the legal system. So she could have parents that are lawyers or police officers or politicians. She's from Los Angeles, California, so they could have been like more California-led politics and things like that. And then with the fourth house in Scorpio, this actually talks a lot about like social, like fourth house in Scorpio, third house in Libra. It talks about like her parents or her early childhood being a lot about like social justice and civil rights, maybe like feminism or something like that. Those types of things like led by her, by their mother. Um, could have been a reason why they were in California. Could have been a huge thing that's just going on in their house while she was growing up. because the fourth house in Scorpio, or Scorpio in general, just talks to me about like revenge. So it's like something that she wants revenge for against her mother or for her mother. And that's her fourth house. It also says that like her early childhood could have been wrapped up in a lot of like occult and spirituality. Like maybe maybe she had a Ouija board or something, or went to seances or something like that of that nature. Especially because I think she also has Pluto in one of these planets. Her Pluto is in Scorpio. Pluto and Scorpio in the fourth house. So could have just been into astrology and horoscopes, but I think with Pluto and Scorpio in the fourth house, it's a little bit deeper. Like maybe grew up with the notion of being able to contact their, her different family members and things like that through the Ouija board or through some type of other medium or through mediumship in general. And then she has a fifth house in Sagittarius, which says that like her biggest obstacle in life right now is the competing with other people, or the competition. She was like in a bunch of movies, a bunch of TV shows. This bio is from like I feel like 10 years ago. So I don't know if she could be very contemporary right now. She could have completely fallen off the face of the earth, like literally or physically. I wouldn't know. But it seems like she does a pretty good job competing, or like competing in realms where she can win. Nothing against Martha Stewart, but I just feel like if she's trying to come in for Martha Stewart's position, or Julia Childs or Emerald Ragassi, like a lot of those people have been sort of washed away, so it's like not that much competition. But she has a fifth house Sagittarius, Saturn also in Sagittarius, which talks about like a lot of horses or being competitive as standing as limitations in her life. Where she also has Uranus in Sagittarius as well, so it's like big wall of limitations and setbacks, but then also like boundlessness. So being able to overcome those competitors or limitations, she then is like now innovative, which is how life happens. Like, if you're locked out of a door, you bust a hole through the door, it's like a whole new door, whole new world, or you bust through a window. It's a whole, different life. But her sixth house, so how is she supposed to overcome or supersede, surpass the limitations that are put upon her by her competitors? Which could be just as simple as like being pigeonholed, like, oh, you're the girl from Gossip Girl, can't put her in any good movies, or you're the girlfriend from Green Lantern. Is Capricorn, so it's like standing on business. So if people are discrediting her because Gossip Girl is problematic in some way, or just, when you have competitors, people will find any reason to not support you, especially the people that don't have the means to support you. So, it could just be simply like her name's Blake. That's like upper echelon, American, white bread. We all hate her, So how she overcomes that is by being a Capricorn, which is like being involved in business, cutting deals, maybe even being like a little seedy or connected to like the underbelly of the world. Where she also has Neptune, so I don't know, she might be like in some mafia movie that like redeems her in some way. Not that she is in need of redemption, but just with that connotation of like having competitors and people potentially not liking her because she's like a wealthy woman who cuts up bread in New England with Martha Stewart. Like she's like the new barefoot Contessa. So maybe being a little dark and seedy or gritty, or making cooking videos with Snoop Dogg might help out her reputation in some way, as it did for Martha Stewart. Snoop Dogg is a Libra, so I think it would actually have to be like potentially, hopefully, or as far as her astrology says, who would help her, some sort of Capricorn. And I don't really know off the top of my head a bunch of Capricorn rappers, but I'm sure they're out there. I don't even know if they have to be rappers, it's just Capricorns in general. What's her name? Gwen Stefani has a rising Capricorn, they could be friends. But anyway, so some Capricorn are supposed to save her from the competition and the rat race of life. Her seventh house, she has Aquarius. meaning that she's a really, could have a really good relationship with technology, friends, social media, networking. She's probably really great to go to parties with. But also, this says that like technology and friendship could be somewhat of like an obstacle for her because it's her opposite energy, and maybe that's done a lot easier through a partner. So says astrology and David Bowie. You should be dating or married to a sign that is somewhat related to your seventh house. But as we know, Ryan Reynolds, I think, is like a Scorpio rising Virgo. So he is not a seventh house compatible relationship for her, but is compatible in other ways. But so even if they're not both, even if Ryan Reynolds is not born under the quote unquote correct sun sign, he might still help her out with technology and friends. Um, he's on a phone commercial, Mint Mobile, so like that is not only just helping her with technology and social media and friends, he's also helping the world and is also on social media. But this is like, maybe she has like a lot of really close friendships. It might borderline on an inappropriate relationship. Who knows? Maybe that's what she prefers. She has an eighth house in Pisces, which says that she has like a really deep spiritual knowledge and understanding, which might come off as superficial just to be like palatable and polite and popular. Um, eighth house in Pisces, I was eighth house in Pisces. She should be friends with Gwen Stefani. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of like over the hill or talentless celebrities who used to like Pink or whatever, like, oh, they used to have this connection to some type of culture, like Pink, like Gwen Stefani had this like connection to Hilaria Baldwin, like this fake connection to culture, turn back to like, I don't know, being like a pilgrim or something, like wearing buckled shoes and celebrating like Christian American values. She has a ninth house in Aries, which also talks about like a militarized, or I don't know, very like Star Spangled Banner, very Yankee Doodle, like militarized American education, like a public school, like a government education. So Pisces eighth house, spiritual, might try to pimp out Christianity eventually with Gwen Stefani. Ninth house in Aries, so probably doesn't want to travel that much, and if does, when does travel, probably goes to places like England or Australia or whatever, like places where they speak English or are very similar to her. I think she also has Jupiter in Aries, meaning that she's very lucky with this travel. Um, but then also, there's been a lot of interruptions with travel and race and bigotry, like recently in this current year of like race and bigotry and things like that. So maybe she's been lucky enough to find that she, it's okay to travel different places. I guess like if Blake Lively goes to Dubai, there isn't that much of a controversy. Whereas like if Snoop Dogg were to go to Dubai, it's like, oh, he's going to have marijuana with him. Um, I guess Ozzy Osbourne was known for drugs, but also like recovering, like Jennifer Coolidge, maybe like someone who's known to be an alcoholic, and they're traveling to Dubai or different places. They're like, oh, they're going to be a problem. She doesn't have that, um, which no one knows her alcohol consumption. But that's her ninth house. Her 10th house is in Taurus, so this also goes back into like this fantasy that I have, where her, Gwen Stefani, and Blake Sheldon are going to go do Mighty Gemstones somewhere in Akron, Ohio with LeBron James and sing about the Lord and like try to recover the pieces of their career, as no one cares about Gwen Stefani's son named Kingston anymore because she's not from Jamaica. And, so there's stuff like that. I don't know if she's been lying about her race or culture. She might be lying about her zodiac sign. But there's something like that going on, I feel like. And then even like all the other people whose chart I read with like I guess a Leo rising. I think that might have been like Adam Levine or something. Like the eighth house in Pisces, it's like they want to be famous for either like Jesus or astrology, or as famous as Jesus probably. But the 10th house in Taurus though, and the Leo rising and the Sun in Virgo, it's like she's gonna be very well known for working on a farm. And so to me, like a farm is like, milking a cow and killing a goat. But she lives in the suburbs and she's already kind of doing it, like living in the suburbs in Connecticut, trying to take over the same space as Martha Stewart. That's like farm living, somewhat like traditional conservative values. So her eighth house, ninth house, and 10th house is like very America first. You know what I mean? They might get rid of the Statue of Liberty and just put a giant statue of Blake Lively. Who knows? Like, seriously, in this time period, at the time that I'm recording this, who knows? It might happen. um, and then her 11th house, she has Gemini, so she has a lot of friends. Probably could have been like a model or actress in her earlier days. She has like a lot of friends that are the same height, weight as her, and speak the same language. 11th house Gemini, so she would have been really good like text. She's probably like really good at text messaging or sending AIM, like instant messengers. Like she doesn't leave you on red for a very long time. Also, like, oh, I think what's his name, Muhammad Ali might also be like a rising Leo. So there's like a lot of like not to be all what do you call it? Snow White, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Like not necessarily dwarves, but like there are a lot of like smaller people, maybe as far as like career goes, or finances goes, that help her out and that are good to her, which is good. Who wouldn't want that? She also has Chiron in her 11th house of Gemini, so she probably takes a lot of time. Like, as I'm almost trying to like rush through this video, I think like she takes a lot of the time and gives a lot of time and space to people when they're like talking about not even necessarily their problems, but like gossip. Like she like gossips a lot, but it's like empathic gossip. It's like not as mean, I guess. And she gives people a lot of time and space, whereas like people don't give time and space for her. So I guess it's like, if Blake Lively is complaining to you about how her husband Ryan Reynolds leaves the toilet seat up, like you don't care, like you don't want to listen to that. But if any of her friends have anything that they want to say ever, she's like very empathetic and makes a lot of time and space for them. And time and space and space and time. And then so ultimately she has her 12th house in Cancer, which I always say the 12th house, it's like the house of people that make you miserable. So like, just as like your mother is more advanced age than you are and is heading towards being a crone faster than you are because of time, her mother might make her miserable in the sense of like she's going to eventually grow into her, or mothers in general. I don't know if she has children or not, or like just the concept of like you might have children, but there's someone out there, and they have like a stroller with rockets on it, so you're jealous now and miserable. Also, this could say like overweight people, as cancers do tend to be like larger in size, make her miserable, as she's like a thinny little actress, skinny little actress lady, who, as a working woman, the concept of maternity, like the looming ticking clock of your potential to have children, might also make you miserable. So fat people, her mother, other mothers, people wanting her to be a mother, the concept of being a mother and nurturing and maternal, all make her miserable. Or are part of her 12th house, like sort of like remind her of death, which it does. Like to some people, like, strollers and pampers and pacifiers, it's life, it's like new life coming to existence. But if you're the one that's bringing that new life into existence, it's sort of like a reminder that you're getting older and you're going to turn into your mother and then eventually turn into a can of ashes. Which, if that hasn't made you miserable, it definitely has made me miserable. So that's something that she thinks about. She's very deep. Blake Lively, super deep and super into life, death, and reincarnation. So says her Cancerian 12th house. Which water signs, like the depth of the ocean and things like that. I want to say something a little bit more positive, but that's all I'm getting is like, she's very aware of the archetypes that women inhabit, like the virgin, the maiden, and the crone, and the concept of crone or Crohn's disease like makes her very miserable. Okay, so then let's see, maybe look at her Chinese sign. 1987. I think I stopped doing that because after a while, it's like I don't even think it's been the same sign over and over again, but it's been a lot of monkey, a lot of dragon, a lot of goat, and a lot of dog. or sheep or whatever, but sheep has actually been the most interesting because I was actually able to learn something about the sheep that I didn't know before, which was really cool. Um, so she's a fire rabbit. People born under the fire rabbit sign are often seen as artistic, calm, detail oriented, but the fire element can make them more passionate, decisive, and sometimes sensitive to criticism compared to other rabbit types. So this is sort of what I was saying about her 12th house, where it's like, maybe she does have children, but like, other mothers, like they breastfed or they had formula and she did one or the other and they did one or the other and she's now jealous because they did something different. Um, let's see if there's something else about the rabbit. Because I really liked I forgot what website, it was like some travel website that had this like really long story about the goat and how the goat didn't like run in the Jade Emperor's race. Like the goat was just known for bringing the five holy grains to humanity. So when the Jade Emperor put together his calendar, everyone was like, "Oh, of course you have to have the sheep or the goat in there, because otherwise we'd be hungry." So that was really cool. I think like the monkey has a similar story uh, of like not having to compete in the race and then just being so honorable that they let him in, for having like healed the tiger in some way. It's very much like the African story of like the mouse and the lion, and the mouse like takes a thorn out of the lion's paw, but it's like because the I think it is something like that because the monkey's fingers are so has so much dexterity, he's able to like brush the tiger's teeth or get a thorn out of his paw or something or make him tea in different stories, and then there thusly was put into the calendar, and then the tiger was all like, I don't want to be a part of this calendar anymore because the stupid monkey is in it that healed me. So I don't really see anything like that, but I'm going to try to maybe in another video I'll try to find it. But in folklore, the rabbit is associated with the moon goddess, creating elixirs, appearing in mid-autumn festival imagery. Some zodiacs, like the Vietnamese, the cat replaces the rabbit. So the rabbit is useless, and nobody likes him, and is sometimes a cat. Rabbit is the fourth animal in the 12-year cycle of the Chinese zodiac signs, coming after the tiger and before the dragon. Recent years of the rabbit include 2023, a bunch of other years. The next rabbit year, I think, is like 2035. Could be wrong. Wood rabbit associated with the earthly branch. The rabbit is open and optimistic, sensitive and imaginative, and enjoys the comfortable side of life. They are not the bravest of the zodiac and may become neurotic if they choose to dwell on their emotions. So that's the rabbit. That's fun. Okay. That's been my analysis of Blake Lively's natal chart. That has been me very briefly looking into the Chinese zodiac sign of the fire rabbit. This has been the Virgo rising Leo. So if you have a friend who is a Virgo rising Leo, you can send them this video and tell them how much of a knockout they are, like Blake Lively, how they're going to be in movies, an actress, and one day grow up to be Martha Stewart. So thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.